47 pounds gone in 6.5 months, and a back injury halfway through. And when Laura walked into her final dress fitting, the seamstress didn't have to touch a thing. No pins, no adjustment, it just fitted. Laura started at almost 90 kilos. She finished at 67. And the wildest part, she almost didn't start at all. 6.5 months before her wedding, she nearly talked herself out of booking the call. I'm going to walk you through every phase. Real numbers, real setbacks. At the 4-minute mark, I'll show you the shred phase where she dropped almost 25 pounds in 9 weeks. That's the one that changes how you think about what's possible. I've coached over 1,500 brides. The most common thing I hear, more than anything about weight, arms or dresses, is some version of, I think I've left it too late. 8 months out, 6 months out, 3 months out, the number doesn't matter. The feeling is the same. I should have started sooner. What's the point now? Laura came to me 6.5 months from her wedding, and she had plenty stacked against her. A back injury that killed her consistency. She tried the gym before and it hadn't stuck. Low confidence, overwhelmed by everything landing at once. Work, wedding planning, the lot. She told me she looked in the mirror and thought, I was like, what happened? Where did I go? She was eating 1,800 calories a day, but only 20 grams of protein. Training when she could manage it. Doing the things you think should work. And nothing was moving and hadn't moved for years. So on top of everything, she had this growing fear that the window had already closed. That the time she wasted just couldn't be made up. It could. Here's what was actually happening. Laura was stuck in a loop. She'd seen before and after posts online, 12-month glow-ups. People started the day the ring went on. And she'd compare her 6.5 months and think, I don't have that kind of time. Then she'd look at the calendar and feel worse. She said to me she feels like she's letting herself down. Not in a dramatic way, just quietly like she'd accepted it. The back injury made the gym feel risky. Previous attempts that hadn't stuck made starting feel pointless. Low confidence made it all feel too much on top of everything. And then there was this other thing she said. She didn't want to get to the wedding photos and feel like she'd hidden. I don't want to hide behind people. Not at her own wedding and not in pictures that she's going to keep for the rest of her life. That's what got her to pick up the phone, not motivation, not a plan. Fear that she'd regret not trying more than she'd regret failing. Now let me show you what happened when Laura started anyway. What I use with my brides is the Bridal transformation system. Build, shred, peak. Laura needed 6 phases because of the starting point and her back injury. But the principles are still the same. You structure the time you have so every phase builds into the next one. The first 4 weeks she went down from 89 kilos to 86, 2.5 to 3 kilos in 3 weeks. And that's from getting the structure right. Resistance training 4 times a week built around her back. Protein pushed to 35% of total intake. She wasn't eating less, she was eating differently. She had an engagement party in November and Christmas in December. But we kept things flexible around the events. She stayed consistent and kept losing. The engagement party didn't blow it up, Christmas didn't blow it up, because a plan was built for real life, not a vacuum. Phase 3 was conditioning. Shorter sessions, more aerobic work, protein at 40%, building capacity for what came next. Phase 4, the shred. This is the one. High intensity, short rest periods. Carb cycling, high carb on training days, low carbs the rest. Every single week tracked through her check-ins. She went from 82 kilos down to 71. That's 11 kilos in 9 weeks. Same person who couldn't lose a gram for months. Same body, different structure. Now, unfortunately, in phase 5, her back flared up again. Plus, she had a 4-day hen do. The panic is on. That's what she told me. We moved to machines only, walking and rehab work. She held it around 70 kilos. She didn't fall apart, she adapted. And then phase 6, the final 3 weeks. Arms and glutes focus, carbs reintroduced. She came in at her wedding just over 67 kilos. The leanest and strongest she'd ever been. She even did a fitness photo shoot. Her first fitting was back in March, hen do late April, wedding day May the 18th. She got through every single milestone. And her dress fitted perfectly, no emergency tailoring. 6.5 months, back injury, 47 pounds. I want you to think about what happens if you don't start. The wedding happens anyway. The dress goes on, the photos get taken. The day flies past. And then you get those photos back. And instead of feeling the thing that you wanted to feel, there's that quiet thought in the background. I wish I'd done something when I still had time. I've heard that sentence from hundreds of brides. Half the time they say it before the wedding when there's still time to change it. Half the time they say it after when there isn't. Laura had that fear. She was scared she'd look back at the photos and feel it. That's partly why she nearly didn't start. Not because she didn't care, but she cared so much that failing again felt worse than not trying. She started anyway. And on her wedding day, she felt unbelievably proud and completely in control. Wherever you are right now, 6 months out, 6 weeks out, the only version of too late that actually exists is when the wedding has already happened and you're looking at the photos wishing you'd done something. That's it. But here's what matters. The more time you have, the more we can do with it. With 6 months, we could build Laura up slowly, run a full shred, manage an injury mid-program, recover and still have 3 weeks to refine. With less time, there's less room for setbacks. You don't need more time than you have, but you do need to use what's left. Book a free bridal transformation call. Links in description. We'll look at your timeline and figure out what phases pieces fit. We'll work out what's possible between now and your wedding. Laura nearly didn't make that call. She thought 6.5 months wasn't enough, but she lost 47 pounds. Her dress fitted perfectly. She walked down the aisle at 67 kilos, the leanest and strongest she'd ever been, feeling unbelievably proud and completely in control. Not a bride that ran out of time, a bride that used every bit of it.